How do we maximize performance without too much enmity? Hello, everyone out there. I'm Thomas, and welcome. I do mainly educational videos, and they are mostly on topics that I think are important, but society hasn't yet figured that out. So I'm trying to, popularize a lot of things that I think would help a lot of people, but they don't know about them. One of those things is the tree of life. And this is an ancient diagram, and a lot of people think it has evil connotations and too mysterious, but it is a simple piece of technology that can be used for good or ill, and it's being used against you at this very moment. And so if you learn how to use it, you can defend yourself against the attacks that at this point you don't even know about. So that's what we're going to try to do, is to learn how to use the tree of life to defend ourselves, and we can also use it to spread spread the goodness in our own hearts. Now, the tree of life has 12 components, and 10 of them here are circles, which are numbered. Circles or spheres. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then there is a thing here called the abyss, which is an implied circle or sphere. And then there's a 0 above the tree. It's a total of 12 different components, and these map out to be really the 12 faculties of consciousness. And then they break down more or less as 10 is our animal consciousness, survival, instinct, fight or flight, wild animal, also the shape, the condition of our body, the health of our body. And then we have like the emotions. These are it's kind of in this area here. And we have the ninth sphere, which is our domestic consciousness, what we're getting when we're growing up in the home. Just in the first years of our life, we are very receptive to our caregivers, and we are really paying attention to what they are doing, and we learn how to memorize what they do and imitate what they do. And then the eighth sphere, whereas the ninth sphere is like the domestic world, the eighth sphere is like the real world. So the eighth sphere is when you go out into the public, when you first start school and you're old enough to go out, without your parents into certain areas, you pick up the consensus worldview, the common sense, the expert opinion, the conventional wisdom. These are things that, are being determined, belief systems that are being determined by our experts, the people in the white lab coats, the people with the letters behind their name, and they tell us what we're supposed to believe. And then to the extent that we can kind of imitate their beliefs, we get really what is the path of least resistance. If you just are a yes person and you just say, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, this is how we're supposed to do it, and you do it, you find that you get promoted, and you get up to the top of the heap because you are just doing what they tell you. As soon as you start to buck what they start doing, then the resistance starts. So at the eighth sphere, you can get yourself into the eighth sphere simply by just kind of regurgitating what you've been told, and then just not making any waves. Don't rock the boat. And so this is really where our logical faculty is, our ability to rationalize things, and our belief systems. And, belief intrinsically means that you do not know. Okay, when you believe something, you do not know it. So that means that you're just kind of going along with what has been presented to you. Okay, then the seventh sphere is for people who get into the eighth sphere and recognize that there are some problems with it, and that maybe all those belief systems aren't true, and maybe they're just partially true, and it could be better if we did it a different way. So whereas the eighth sphere is like the real world, the seventh sphere is the imaginary world. So they imagine a better world, a better way of doing things in particular issues. And so this is where, our creativity comes in, our intuition and our inspiration and our pleasure principle. We kind of weigh those things against what is presented here, and we eventually can come up with creative products, songs and paintings and inventions that will improve upon, or will be an attempt to improve upon, what's going on in the eighth sphere. Okay, then another thing about the eighth sphere that I rarely mention is that the eighth sphere is a deceiver. Okay, this is the trickster. So this is, this is more or less what happens is that the eighth sphere really imitates these other lower spheres. So there's kind of within the eighth sphere, there's a fake seventh sphere, especially the seventh sphere. So within the eighth sphere, they've established a fake seventh sphere that makes you think that you're in the seventh sphere, but you're really still in the eighth sphere. They have full control over it. This is, I guess, another term that would be a psyop, a psychological operation. So, like when you look at a lot of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that went on in the 1960s. These people are thinking that they're rebelling, and thinking that they're coming up with different ways of doing things, but they actually are still in the eighth sphere, because the CIA really is the group that set up all that, and so they're just kind of acting out a script, but their dissent, their alternatives are really illusory. And then it kind of showed in that 80% of the people that were in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the 60s, once it became the 70s or the late 70s, they just got a haircut and went back into the corporate world. So, and there were certainly real people in the 60s and so on that were over here. Those were probably the leaders of the movement, but a lot of the people that were into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, they were just kind of like, hanging on. They were in it because it was cool and it was the thing to do. It was trendy. And so, they were really just in the fake eighth sphere, or the fake seventh sphere within the eighth. They were still in the eighth sphere. So the eighth sphere is a trickster. It sets up a fake spheres within itself to make you think like you've gone somewhere, but you're still stuck in the eighth sphere. The eighth sphere is a deceiver. Okay, now the seventh sphere, once we have established ourselves over here and are really articulating different alternatives, we do that a lot through inspiration. We have inspiration from authentic people that have tapped into these areas, and this gives us the inspiration to embark on that bumpy path ourselves, uphill, the uphill bumpy path. It's some of it maybe is even downhill, too much downhill, and we end up getting up to the sixth sphere. That's the 99% perspiration. Inspiration is 1%, and perspiration is 99%. And then at the sixth sphere, this is our free will faculty. You notice that it's located in the center, and it has to do with free will, which is our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. And unfortunately, our attention is our attention is like a vector, a direction, and our attention is generally directed at the lower part of the tree. We're paying attention to our conditionings and our likes and dislikes and our attachments. And so what we have to do with our first decision at the free will stage is to turn our attention around and direct our attention up into reality, which is the spiritual world. This presents itself as reality, but it's the deception. And then if we do that, it requires a great deal of courage to stand in the face of fear and basically look into the void, because we don't really have a formed these faculties are really only slightly formed. So we end up kind of, staring into the unknown when we turn ourselves around and put our attention at our spiritual aspects, even before they really have had time to establish themselves in us. So, we seem like we're staring into the void. And so that requires a great deal of courage just to stand in the face of that fear. And that's the hallmark of the sixth sphere. So then when we move up, you can see that 6, 5, and 4 are a triangle in and of themselves. This is our, kind of our spiritual path and our spiritual aspects, where this is just like the normal person and this is like the divine. So we are in between that in this area. And then so 5 is really our sense of justice, our ability to recognize our karma. Karma is for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and mostly it's about feedback for waste and violence and violation. And this is the enforcement of the universal law. The universal law is articulated over here. This is usually a cosmology in the fourth sphere. A cosmology or a theory of everything, that is put together painstakingly through observation, investigation, experimentation, and experience about how things really work. Whereas this is just a decree, and this is coming from long hours of observing actually how things are. And this doesn't mean that it's right, but it means that it's right to the extent that it stands the test of time. The more right your cosmology is, the less often you have to change it. Okay, and so 4 and 5 work together with each other, and this is really nonviolence. This is our ability to be just with people. And then the fourth sphere is the basically universal love and universal language. And in particular, this is our ability to love our enemies and to love unconditionally, to give seeking nothing in return, and also to communicate non-verbally in a universal language. So something that everybody can understand without having to be schooled on it. Okay, the abyss here is about our psychic powers, our ability to tune into and recognize omens. And then we have a 3, 2, and 1, which is the divine triangle, omnipotence, all powerful, tuned into through recognizing through sound synchronization. 2, which is omniscience or wisdom. This is our ability to solve problems. We tune into that through silence in the mind and staying off content in the mind, meaning that like if you you have sensations, especially as you're meditating, you have sensations and you feel things. And then while you're meditating, you have the tendency to say, oh, that felt good. Oh, there's a gentle breeze on my nose, or there is a hot feeling in my fingers, or the sun is shining on my skin. At the when you start determining whether those things are good or bad, or any kind of characteristics of them, you're getting into content, and then you start making stories about it. That's what you are able to avoid here at the second sphere. It's just stay with the experience and stay in your attention. Because all those other qualities and all the other content about every sensation will take you away from your attention. And so it takes you out of the wisdom state. The wisdom to solve problems emerges as you're able to shut your mind down, because your mind here at the A sphere is giving you all of these kind of like ways to solve the problem, but it's the ways are always blocked by the limitation of the thinking process. So it's always telling you all the things that you can possibly do to avoid this problem. But here you're getting like the things that are impossible, or at least improbable. So you're thinking outside the box. This is strictly thinking within the box. Okay, then so if you can't tap into this with your own ability to meditate, you can also tap into it through what's called an oracle, or a divine divination system. And that is, a random chance process, like picking a card, tarot deck, drawing lots, or cowrie shells. And those things are random chance processes where the creator of the universe is able to speak in its voice through you. There's a lot of problems with those, including a lot of charlatans and a lot of difficulty in interpretation. So, but that's probably the best you have if you can't do it yourself, which very few of us can, including me. So here we go to the first sphere, which is omnipresence, all present, all at once, eternally. This is our unifier, because we all have this spark within us at our deepest center. So your deepest center is the same as mine. It's the one. It's the unifier. And this is most aptly demonstrated through geometry. We talk about the Roman and medieval scholastic quadrivium, the system of curriculum. Basically, there's the trivium and the quadrivium, and the quadrivium is really music, and then astronomy, astrology, and then geometry, and then mathematics. So the zero sphere above the tree is the zero, and it is the mystery, is what is really kind of the rules of the game. This is the part of the creator that we don't have access to directly. And so it's what came before the universe, or even if you're talking outside of space and time. So it's maybe there's not a before, but it's like the origin. Okay, so that's a longer than normal version of how we look at the tree. Now, what I've done in my studies is I've superimposed a whole tree onto each one of the spheres. So I've broken down, you have your 12 faculties of consciousness, but by miniaturizing trees and putting them on each sphere, you're breaking down each one of the 12 into their 12 different components. So you end up with 144 different fractal faculties or partial faculties of consciousness, which I describe as the stages of life. But these stages are not chronological as much as they are dramatic stages. So there's basically 144 different separate dramas that we go through as we move through life. And today, also, if you'd like to get a free list of those 144 fractal faculties, just click the link in the description and I will send one out to you. And it'll help you to navigate all the rest of these videos, all the videos in this series of the 144, as I present one more or less each day. Today, we're looking at number 67, how do we maximize performance without too much enmity? And that is located here in the fifth sphere, and it is the fourth fractal of the fifth sphere. So the fifth sphere, they work together. So this is, kind of a similarity here. The fourth fractal in the fifth sphere. The fifth sphere is about the enforcement of the law, and it is about working with, with our peers and establishing justice and nonviolence. And then the fourth sphere is about the universal law, and this is about not only working with our peers, but working with our enemies. Okay. So this one is called co-opetition. Stage 67 is about improving performance via working together with both kin and peers. Games are just a cover for the hard work and honest feedback that is needed for improving performance. With co-opetition, everyone wins. A perfect fit. Win-win. Winning. Teamwork. Sparring, competing, working, and practicing with one's peers and competing against ourselves. Contrary to snowflakes, we need some resistance to get better. Interference patterns, like the Fibonacci and Lucas sequences, sine and cosine, outdoing one another, cutting contests, consensual, friendly, respectful, on a level playing field, simple harmonic motion, creative competition beyond what we could ever practice, but we had to practice a lot just to get there. Games for improving performance, goosebumping, an honor to have participated in it, even to have witnessed it, a deep respect, a life changer to participate in, how hard we worked. Wake up to playing together, wake up to sleeping together by knowing his critical point without going over it. Crossing the line causes explosions, so never go beyond it. Don't even get close. If you even get close, step away a second. Sharpening irons. Sharp irons, F, E sharp, are the same thing. Okay, that is stage number 67, the short version, and that is called a co-opetition. It's a combination of the fifth and fourth spheres, the fourth fractal of the fifth sphere. And if you'd like me again to send you a copy of this, this list of the 144 fractal faculties, please just click the link below and it'll come out to you for free. And also you can like the video, and you can share and subscribe, and stay tuned for future videos. And other than that, you should have a nice day today and come back for more from me.